What a tremendous honor to welcome to the show one of my mentors in the business, a guy who gave me a shot early on. Most of my career to this guy, and I'm not accepting anything otherwise. Mark, don't tell me I didn't do anything. Just move on and take the compliment. The great one, Mark Levin. Welcome, Mark.
Dan, I couldn't be prouder of you, man. Just as a patriot, the things you've done in your life, local cop, Secret Service, deputy director of the FBI, that's a big deal. This industry, you're a superstar, man. And I have to be honest, I saw this 10, 12 years ago in you. I really did. And you have done absolutely fabulously. And welcome back. We need you on the airwaves or whatever we call this, the internet waves. And we need you. And your voice is very, very important at a time like this.
Well, thank you, Mark. And speaking of the airways, that's very nice of you to say. You've dominated radio, TV. You've been everywhere, cable. Now you've had a podcast, but you're launching a new podcast here on Rumble and other platforms as well. Mark Levin Show, rumble.com/Mark Levin Show. You're evolving with the digital times. Mark, you've seen it like everyone else. You've been in this business for decades. Talk radio used to be the only place. Here was the lineup. It was Rush, Hannity, Mark Levin. That was it. That was the staple. But now you're seeing with this evolving digital ecosystem, you really have to be everywhere. And what an honor to have you on Rumble.
First of all, Rumble's been great to us, and you folks have been great to us, and I want to thank everybody. In fact, our first 3 shows, most of the viewers are on Rumble, and we're very proud of that. We have 650,000 followers, give or take, and I want to thank Chris and you and the other people at Rumble. It's really a great site. As for talk radio and this venue and so forth, I don't believe in swimming against the current. If there are platforms and they make sense, my view is use all the platforms. We have some people on talk radio that say, no, I'm just doing talk radio. Some people on TV, no, I'm just doing TV. If I'm able to get the message out, I'm mission oriented. I'm an activist. That's the bottom line, despite what the platform is, then I want to be on that platform. And so we've taken time to create our little corner of this platform. No billionaires involved. Qatar's not involved. None of that stuff's involved. We're doing it ourselves. We've got a lot of great advice from you, Dan Bongino, and some other people who've sort of taught us on the quick and fast on how to get up and running. We're just beginning. We've got a good beginning. We're going to do this for a while. And I really believe that in many respects, the internet is a cesspool with a few silver linings. You're one of them. There's a few other silver linings. But the worst of the worst get on the internet. And I just felt, why don't I reach into that community? There's not a real overlap between talk radio and podcasting. We're doing our video podcasting. And so let me take the opportunity with people like you, Dan, and get into this and try and show people how it should be done. That is, not dropping F-bombs all the time, not smoking pot on the air, not, all the rest of that stuff that goes on, the bigotry, the racism, and so forth. How about we use this magnificent platform to advance the cause of liberty? So the first 2 out of 3 shows that I've done, I'm talking about John Locke. I'm talking about Adam Smith. I'm getting into the things that are of interest to me. I'm trying to apply them to current events. That doesn't mean I'm going to ignore current events. Of course, I'm not, like Iran and these other things that are going on. But people are not taught at a young age. And there are many young people who are listening to your podcast and other podcasters who don't know why they should love our country and why it's such a unique nation, one of a kind. And I want people to be patriotic, to love this country on our 250th anniversary. Don't listen to all this negativity, tearing down our society, one group against another. So this is my little way of pushing back.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that F-bomb thing. Those guys are horrible to drop F-bombs, right, guys? They're looking at me inside like, yeah, okay. I see your point, though, Mark. Let's get to Iran. A huge military buildup we've seen in the region over there with President Trump. Looks like an apparent, obvious act here of gunboat diplomacy. The Iranians have been screaming death to America, obviously, for decades. They've engaged in ruthless attacks on both American soil. A lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes with the Iranians as well. But there's one angle of this I was particularly offended by. It's the United Kingdom, who's been a very good ally to us over the course of decades. The Starmer government right now, apparently, if there is, and we don't know, that's going to have no inside information about that. I'm out of the government now. However, if there is an attack, they're apparently reluctant to provide us basing assistance in some of the areas they control, have a footprint in the region. Mark, that's really disturbing, considering we provide the global national security umbrella for allies of freedom around the world.
Yeah, people need to understand when we talk about Britain, we're not talking necessarily about the leadership, just like in the United States. And what do I mean by that? Britain under Thatcher was a fabulous country and a fabulous ally. Britain under Churchill, same thing. We have these quislings now. You have Macron in France. You've got this guy in Britain. All throughout Europe, except with a few, safe havens. They've destroyed their own countries with their immigration policies, the Labour parties, the Liberal parties, sort of the Rhino, quote unquote, or maybe they're Tino, that is the so-called conservative parties, which are not that conservative in Europe. They've capitulated to the mass migration, what I call revolution by immigration. And so these radical left parties, including in our country, the Democrat Party, are becoming reliant on the most extreme Islamists. And this is what that's about. He doesn't want us to be able to use the bases in Britain to launch our planes because of the Islamist wing of the Labour Party. And Islam in Britain is now about 15% of the population and growing. They live in very tight communities, so they have a major impact on electoral politics. They're trying to do the same thing in the United States, in Texas, in Florida, in Michigan, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania. It's the same thing. We know that's what they're doing. They've told us that's what they're doing. CARE has told us this is what they're going to do, and these other enemies within and so forth. So it has an impact on international policies. So when people say, why are we focused so much on foreign policy? Foreign policy is domestic policy, and domestic policy is foreign policy, particularly when you have these open borders, and particularly when Europe is led by these leftists who are weak. And the Islamists are relying on the leftists because look what they did in Iran. You had Khomeini, the first Khomeini. He built an alliance with the left in Iran. He built an alliance with the opposition in Iran. He built an alliance with the religious opposition in Iran. He takes over and he slaughters them and he blows them out. There is no alliance with these people, the Islamists, that is. And so that's what they do. Britain is now heavily influenced by this element. And this element is knee-jerk anyway, the left. And so they really do not want us to take out the regime in Iran, just like we have people in our country. And they're on TV, and they're all over the internet, and they're given airtime, and they're podcasters who are talking about people. I'm a warmonger. No, I'm not a warmonger. I'm a peacemonger. It's called peace through strength, not peace through appeasement and pacifism. And the fact of the matter is, I don't believe in diplomacy mongers. That is, people who will negotiate and talk and talk and talk while the enemy is building nuclear weapons and missiles and slaughtering 50,000 of their own people. So it is an abomination what this Stormer is doing. And I'm told that if they had an election today, he'd be blown out of there so fast it's not funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they probably want Liz Truss back. Really? I mean, it is the political environment over there is just really horrendous for their liberal wing of their party over there. Mark, let me get to some domestic policy. And again, Mark has a new show, a podcast, Mark Levin Show, rumble.com/Mark Levin Show, Liberty's Voice. Make sure you check it out. Go subscribe and follow today. Mark, there's a big debate, and I'll tell you where I stand, and I'm not pretending to have all the answers, but you knowing government as well as anyone and how it works, the mechanics. The SAVE Act and the filibuster. We're not going to get a pass without either a talking filibuster obstacle for the Dems or nuking the filibuster altogether. I know it may be a controversial opinion to have. However, I'm going to be honest with the audience. I just don't think the filibuster is useful anymore. because we have to take into account the inaction on our part and what's going to happen. The Democrats have already said they're going to bust the filibuster. Sinema and Manchin stopped it. They're gone. They're going to do it. My take on it is bust it now, do what we can do, beat them to the punch, because we're going to suffer from it anyway. Your take on the filibuster and the SAVE Act?
A couple of things about this. We've had this filibuster since the beginning of the Republic. It's not in the Constitution. But what's the purpose of the filibuster? The purpose of the filibuster is to make sure we don't become Europe. They have parliamentary systems. So if the Senate is essentially the House of Representatives, that means when the Democrats take over, they will push through additions to the Supreme Court. They will push through the popular vote against the Electoral College. They will push through open borders. They will push through their attack on ICE. So I just want people to understand this. But your point is correct when you say they're going to get rid of it anyway. So I like what they came up with at the Daily Wire, quite frankly. They said, why don't we insist? Why don't we insist, since the Democrats are using the filibuster while they say they don't like it, on a constitutional amendment? Put it up for a vote in the Senate and in the House of Representatives to keep the filibuster, and let's see how they vote on that. And then they say, if they won't vote on it, or they block it, or they vote against it, then there's more of an argument for getting rid of the filibuster. So I'm of two minds on this. I am concerned that when the Democrats take power, they know how to use it. They know how to grab it. They know how to maintain it. When our guys take power, it's like a tea party. It's what should we do? How are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? What about Ernie Grabotsky and Phyllis Smith over here? And what do we? The Democrats is baby. They go right through and they ram it down. Our guys, it's debate. So I'm concerned if there's no filibuster, they will get what they want. One other thing in government, as you know, it's harder to unravel things than it is to put things in place. And they have a whole plan, HR 1, their election plan. They keep coming up with it to ensure that they could never lose an election again. Illegal immigration, birthright citizenship, no deportation, change the voting rules to make it identical to California. They're already doing this now in Virginia. And look, this governor in Virginia ran as a moderate. She's putting in place the most radical agenda in the country. They'll do the same thing.
Mark, I really could not agree with you more. This is not a plebiscite. This is not two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Direct democracy is a terrible idea. We have a representative democracy. This is a republic. It is not a direct democracy. We don't put every single thing on the ballot. We elect representatives to handle that. I get it. But I think that Daily Wire idea, by the way, sounds pretty appealing. Get them on the record, right? That's not a bad idea. It's the first time I'd heard that. But I think you see my point, too, is that this isn't a question of what's the good answer versus bad answer. It's the bad answer versus the worse answer. And because we have a side of the aisle, the Democrats, you're right, that jam the syrup of Ipecac down your throat and don't really give a damn what you think. And you can unwind this stuff later. My only thought on it is if they're going to do it anyway, in a world of, bad or worse, I'll pick bad rather than worse. But I totally see your point.
Let me just add one thing, because you're right about it. If they're going to get rid of the filibuster, then have an entire agenda that you're going to put in place, not just on voting, an entire agenda. If you're going to go through the process of changing fundamentally how the Senate works and how our Constitution works, even though it's not in the Constitution, then have your entire agenda and push it through, not just for the SAVE Act, but for 50 SAVE Acts. In other words, all these other things that need to be done to the Republic, then go ahead and get it done.
That is exactly what I said in yesterday's show. Go through tax reform, budget reform, entitlement reform, all of it. You're 100% correct. If you're going to do it, don't do it with kid gloves. Do it the right way. Mark, this has been an incredible first year for this president. Obviously, the media hates him. I know you have a personal relationship with the president. I did as well. And when you work for him, you were in, I don't need to tell you about what it's like working inside the White House environment. It's different inside. It's not about you. It's about the administration. But this first year, just on the numbers, forget the personalities, everything else. On the numbers alone, whether it's the inflation numbers, whether it's projected GDP growth. We had numbers yesterday, jobless claims going down. The border, violent crime, the homicide rate, what's happening overseas, our military getting modern equipment, Golden Dome, What do you, I mean, finally, we got rid of Iran's, or at least delayed their nuclear capability. I mean, these are things, Mark, that have been talked about forever. We hadn't had, 4% projected GDP growth in a quarter in eons. This has been a really incredible first year, but the media bias on this guy is just incredible. They would be carving into Mount Rushmore if this was Biden or Obama.
That's 100% right. It has been an unbelievable first year. Look, he's gotten rid of 350,000 federal employees. Did anybody think that was possible? And at the same time, you have the growth in the private sector, economic growth across the country. Inflation is way down. I looked at this yesterday. Gas prices are at a 4-year low. They say food prices are still up. That's not exactly right. Corn prices are down, egg prices are down, butter prices are down, milk prices are down. Meat prices are down. I literally went through and looked at all the consumer index issues and so forth. He's pushed down interest rates, I think, using the bully pulpit against the Fed, and he'll have a new chairman there. He's opened up our lands and our waters to drilling. 55% increase in permitting that's taking place, a 73% increase in drilling that's taking place. We've never seen anything like this. Lumber for building homes and so forth and so on. He's opened up these areas too, way up in terms of the percentage of that activity that's going on. So he has undone sort of the socialist economic policies of the Democrats, department by department, economic sector by economic sector. And Americans, if they step back, they're going to see that he has slashed taxes, that it's starting to kick in. He has slashed taxes for the middle class, for blue-collar workers, and yes, everybody, including wealthy people who create jobs, create businesses, and who are on the stock market, where your IRA and your 401k is. We want the whole nation to be successful. Enough of this Marxist claptrap. And Trump has been doing this every way humanly possible. The president only has so many powers, and he's using everyone, and he's pushing it to the edge. And Congress, the Democrats exist for one reason: sabotage. That's it. They want to sabotage the economy. They want to sabotage the republic. They want to sabotage ICE, our cops, our military. And they think by dragging down the country, dragging down the economy, that we'll all turn to them and elect them. That's their plan. That's their hope.
Mark, last question. Folks, please go to rumble.com/Mark Levin Show. He has a new podcast. It's going to be an amazing success like everything else he does. Books, radio, TV, you name it. The godfather of the modern conservative movement, Mark Levin. Mark, there was an interesting piece. I bring it up because it harkens back to an era you spent in government in the Reagan administration by the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I think it was Freeman. He was talking about how Americans are very entrepreneurial, hardworking people. That's fairly obvious. We're the tip of the spear of capitalism, but how they have a revulsion towards people taking free stuff like government grifters and freeloaders. And the gist of the article was that's why this Minnesota fraud case is just a tick under the skin of the Democrats that they really better explain away, because this is everywhere. It's probably 10x or 100x in California. But I want to tie it to a different question, because there's another argument out there about AI, that AI is going to take everybody's job. We're all going to have to be on a universal basic income, sitting around playing video games all day with nothing to do. This argument has been used over and over and over against capitalism. Oh my gosh, what are the people who ride horses going to do when the automobile came around? Human beings are not lazy by default. They want to add value. I don't believe in this UBI crap, and I think AI is going to be great. There are potential risks, but I don't believe people are going to sit around on their ass and do nothing all day.
I agree with you completely. First of all, if we don't, the enemy will. So that's number one. Number two, so we should control the trajectory of this. That's number two. Number three, your point is very, very important. What are we supposed to do? Stop thinking? Stop producing? Stop creating? Stop inventing? Because some person who's in a particular job might lose their job. Let's look at it this way. Think about all the jobs AI will create. In fact, we can't even imagine all the businesses, all the services, all the activities that will be created. I mean, 50 years ago, nobody knew what this was, right? 50 years ago, it didn't exist. Oh, you're going to put all the people that work for AT&T out of business. Look at all the people who are working now. We hear this argument all the time, And this is why von Mises wrote about 30, 40 years ago, we all talk like Marxists. We all talk like Marxists now about the wealthy versus the poor, about, progress is going to destroy our economy. Some existing jobs will go. That's okay. And many new jobs will be created. Or maybe wherever you work out there, you'll just have more people working with you and for you. Human intelligence cannot be controlled. Now, they try it in these police states, whether it's Marxism or Islamism or fascism or whatever the ism is. But in America, that's not what we do. Liberty and economic freedom go hand in hand. Why? Because we're talking about the ability and the motivation of the individual to use their God-given intelligence to do things. You can't put AI back in the box even if you wanted to. And why should we? So we've heard these voices before. You're exactly right, Dan, who say, let's stay in the 1880s. Let's stay in the 1910s. Let's stay here. We don't know what this world's going to look like in 100 years. But what you and I do know is we need to have our republic. We need to have representative government. We need to have limited bureaucracy so that we as individuals, the purpose of the founding in the first place, can pursue our best interests, and collectively in our society, our civil society, we can go forward. AI will cure a lot of illnesses, will create a lot of medicines that we haven't had before. It'll do things that only the mind can imagine and maybe can't even imagine. I'm very excited about it personally.
Yeah, me too. Mark, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to congratulate you on the launch of another amazing conservative content product, Liberty's Voice with Mark Levin, available on Rumble and other video platforms. You can always catch Mark's radio show. It's been a staple, my diet, from 6 to 9 Eastern every night on basically every radio station in the cosmos. And you can also watch his show on the weekends on Fox, Life, Liberty, and Levin, top show on the weekends there. Mark, thanks for being a mentor to me, always being a lodestar for conservatism. I deeply appreciate you spending some time with us today. Thanks so much.
Hold on, I need 30 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
This guy, Dan Bongino, is such a kind and decent human being, folks. I just want you to know that. He is so committed to this country, whether his earlier career, he ran for office in a terrible state. I don't mean terrible by every individual, but it was heavy Democrat. He almost won. He didn't give up. Everything he does, he puts his whole heart into it. And look how he's treating me. He doesn't have to treat me this way. He doesn't have to say all these nice things about me. But he is a good friend. He is loyal. It is an honor to be on your podcast, one of the greatest podcasts in the country. God bless you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time, Mark. I'll talk to you soon. There he is, folks. The great Mark Levin, called the great one, not the good one, for a reason. He's earned it. Been a good friend and a mentor to me. I'm telling you right now, I would not be here on this show. That's a fact. Without him early on taking a chance on me, letting me guest host his radio show. Really, really appreciate that.